of reshore. First off, Spencer, you are a prolific writer on this topic of globalization and economic nationalism. Just explain to our audience, in your mind, what that means and why globalization has worked against the American worker, sir.
Well, good evening. First of all, thanks for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. Globalization has been an utter disaster for the American workers. I've been writing on this topic since about 2015. What we've seen time and time again is every time America signs a free trade deal or engages in looser trade restrictions with a different country, there's an asymmetrical trading relationship that develops. America, as the developed nation with the technological advantage, runs large and chronic trade deficits with all of these countries. And as a result, what we see is a rebalancing of American industry. Once America was at the core of the later stages of the Industrial Revolution, and of course the subsequent technological revolution. That's no longer the case. A lot of the manufacturing, in the old sort of iron belt steel regions, has been moved to countries like China. It's been moved to Mexico, Japan, and as a result of so-called freer trade, what we've seen is American industry has been hollowed out. The American worker has been left with significant unemployment. Wages, which were at one time rose in lockstep with worker productivity in about 1971, 1972, that decoupled. And what we've seen is that although Americans are working more productively than ever, wages simply haven't kept pace. And a big portion of the reason for that is that there's a lot of downward pressure on wages in this country because American workers are now subjected to competing directly with workers in China. And there's many reasons for that. Labor is plentiful in these countries. Environmental regulations, labor regulations are very lax. So there's just no apples to oranges comparison between a foreign country like China and then the sort of labor markets you have in America. So what you have is when they say it's free trade and free competition, what it is it's unsymmetrical and unfair trade.
Let's talk about that, because when we first came on the scene and started writing, they had people write about this at Breitbart. The classic Republicans went through full meltdown. Oh my God, it's got to be free trade. Tell me about what free trade actually stands for. And I think we're in a mercantilist system where the Chinese Communist Party is the smartest and toughest mercantilist around. So describe the system and why all these people that talked about free trade all the time and not fair trade really played into the hands of the mercantilist, sir.
Well, it's actually a very interesting point. What we have right now, and I've done a bit of research on this topic. What we have, I just want to take you back to the American Revolution. One of the main undercurrents of the American Revolution was economic freedom leading to political freedom. A lot of people don't know this, but in the approximately 50 years leading up to the American Revolution, the British government imposed a number of industrial limits on what the American colonies were able to do. For example, they banned the export of blueprints for new industrial processes. They banned the opening of new steel mills. And this was all employed by the British government to make sure that industry, manufacturing, the manufacturing of arms, of ships, of new machinery stayed in Britain. And what this did is it locked America into a mercantile trade relationship with Britain, where Great Britain was exporting high-value manufactured products to the colonies, and the colonies were in turn selling low-value agricultural output, such as tobacco, or cotton. This was certainly not in America's best interests. A lot of revolutionary material, for example, Thomas Paine in particular, Alexander Hamilton, pushed very strongly for an industrialization program for America. Of course, one of the first acts that were passed after America gained its independence was to institute tariffs on manufactured products from Europe. And this led directly to the industrialization of America, which, of course, turned America into the richest country in the world. What we've seen.